The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Africans, we know we have been enslaved by some people. And in our schools, we have been taught about one group of people who came in contact with us and enslaved us. There is one particular group that DS was very brutal. Yet that one is very silent, and we don't know why. The whole world is quiet about that particular one that took over 18 million of Africans out of the continent. And even these ones made sure these 18 million people they took out of Africa are unalived. And that is why till date, we can't find black people among them. The people who at one point in time will tell us about that second group of people told us that these people only came to Africa to trade. They never came to enslave us. The Islamic world or the Arab world was also part of slavery. They told that it was only the Europeans and Americans who came in contact with us and enslaved us. But that is not true. Arabs were the first people who came here, and their slavery lasted for over 1,000 years. The European slavery only lasted for 400 years, but these ones lasted 1,000 years more than the Europeans, yet their slavery is always quiet. And today a lot of people love Islam because we believe that Islam was never part of the slave trade. But according to source, it's not true.
I've been asked to do a talk. This is the first time we've actually done this talk anywhere outside of our Fander course. So you're the first to get it. Your pastor and his wife wanted to do this talk especially. This is a hard-hitting talk. And I'm going to warn you, there are some things you're going to read that aren't very pleasant. But it's a talk that we are finding Muslims need to hear. There has been this perception around the world that slavery is uniquely a Christian problem, that slavery is uniquely a European, American, Western problem, that slavery has nothing to do with Islam. And especially in my country, in America, this is the only narrative you're going to hear. And it's bringing thousands upon thousands of young Afro-Americans to Islam. They're leaving the church in droves and becoming Muslims because of slavery. They're leaving the churches here in Britain, the Afro-Caribbeans, because of slavery. Now, this what I'm presenting today is not my work, okay? This is from a girl on our team, Sarah Foster. She has just flown to America. She just got back on Thursday from Gambia. If any of you know the significance of what I'm talking about, in America, if you're Afro-American and you want to know who your slave roots are, you go to Gambia. Because this is where Roots, Alex Haley, when he wrote the book Roots, and when he did his research, Kunta Kinte, who was his forebear, came from Banjul, just out of Banjul, in Banjim, there in Gambia. And so what has happened, there is now an entire industry of Afro-Americans who are now flying to Gambia to find out about their historical roots in slavery. And though they don't know their own roots, they are now affiliating themselves with Kunta Kinte and with Alex Haley. And so she went there a week and a half ago to introduce this side of the coin. You're only looking at one side of slavery. You're only looking at 400 years of slavery. The European slave trade only lasted from 1400 to 1800. It was only 400 years long. It was eradicated by Christians. Wilberforce, the Clapham sect, here in Britain, were the ones that stood against slavery and were the ones that actually stopped slavery. This has never been done in the Muslim world. And so she introduced this just this last week and got an enormous amount of flack. She got quite a bit of pushback from the students because they had never heard this. In Banjul, in Gambia, 95% of the country is Islamic. There are very few Christians there. And they are dependent on the slave trade for tourism. All the tourists are Afro-Americans who are coming to find their roots. So to hear something like this, that actually Islam has a greater problem, because Islam has been involved in the slave trade for 1,400 years, 1,000 years longer than the Europeans. The slave trade was always in Africa, and it was always controlled by Muslims. This is what they're not used to hearing. That 18 to 19 million slaves left the east coast of Africa, whereas only 11 million left the west coast of Africa. How many of you knew that before? Only 11 million left the west coast of Africa to come to the Americas, to come to Brazil, Central America, my country, United States. And we know where their progeny are today. They still exist today. There's about 100 to 120 million of them all over the Americas. Their descendants are well known. My former president, his wife Michelle Obama, is a descendant of slaves. We have 30 million of them in America alone. What about the 18 to 19 million that left the east coast of Africa? Where did they all go? None of them came to the Americas. They all went to the Muslim world. Where are their progeny? There should be 140 million of them today. Where are this 140 million? They don't exist. Why has Islam not even asked this question? So we're asking it. But she has gone way beyond as to why the slave trade has existed so prolifically, so much more so, and why there has never been an abolition movement in Islam. Islam has never abolished slavery. Muslim countries have, yes, they've had to. And almost in every case, they've had to, but under duress because of the United Nations. And the last countries in the world to abolish slavery were in 1960, Saudi Arabia, and 1981, Mauritania. Yet slavery still exists today in Sudan and Mali. And always, slavery is always Arabs enslaving Africans. Never the other way around. It has always been black slavery. So these are the questions she took with her. And so I'm going to use, this is her PowerPoint.
Islam is equally guilty as Christianity. They use their religion to enslave us. That's why sometimes people ask, why is it that we love these two religions, that in their names we were made slaves? But the thing is, we actually don't know the truth concerning these two religions. The only popular one is Christianity, and that is why today we are running out of Christianity, thinking that that is the only religion that was used to enslave us. According to this man, there are a lot of things that are hidden away from us. We only hear what people say and we go by it. Today, people hate Christianity. Africans do not like Christianity because of its involvement in slave trade. And the place we are running to, have we actually sat down to do our research to find out if Islam wasn't also used as a tool to enslave the African? One thing we need to understand as Africans is that these two things that came into the continent was never meant for good. They use it to subject us into slavery. Until date, they are still using it to make sure we don't progress. These people never left anything good for us. We are still holding on to these things, defending them as Africans. But until we are able to do away with them, we'll never see the freedom we are looking for, because these are tools. And the moment we get to a point that we need to set ourselves free, these same tools will be used against us. Why are they painting that one guilt to us? It is Africans that are running after religion. We think that religion is the solution to our problems. But that is not the truth. The people who brought us these religions, we are seeing the developments that are happening in their respective countries. They are not sitting there holding on to the religion so that they will get what they want, as they made us to believe. This is what is keeping us backwards, and we really need to stand up, fight against it, set ourselves free, so that we can see the better Africa that we want. When we talk about these things, other people think that you are attacking them. Until we get to know our history, and know who we are, we can never fight for our freedom. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world and in Africa.